Well, welcome back everyone, Mariah Monetize here, and in today's video we have a lot to cover on this 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to all my fellow Americans. I hope you get to enjoy the day today with your family. But there is a lot that's happening in the cryptocurrency space, specifically with Vold. We have a huge announcement with Vold. I'm also going to be going over Bitcoin, the price, and letting you guys know if I've entered back into my position and where I see the price going next. So woke up to some unfortunate news this weekend that Vold has actually paused withdrawals. So as you know, I've been encouraging all of you to take all of your funds off exchanges, lending platforms. So I personally have $1,300 on Vold. This is mostly funds that have come from the referral program. So money was kind of being added to my account. And then I was also trying to get rid of some Tron, like $400 a Tron. And so, yeah, I mean, I still had funds on there, mostly because it was referral money coming in. And so I didn't want to like keep withdrawing every single day. That would be a bit of a hassle. And once it was a bigger amount, I was probably going to consider withdrawing. But I also like the trading on Vold because it's low fees. But now none of that actually matters. So hopefully you guys took my advice and got all of your funds off of Vold. So yeah, that's kind of the situation there. An important update: deposits, withdrawals, and trading are temporarily disabled on the platform. We've outlined further detail. Okay, so the Vold management wishes to inform that we are facing financial challenges despite our best efforts. This is due to a combination of circumstances such as the volatile market conditions, the financial difficulties of our key business partners inevitably affecting us, and the current market climate, which has led to a significant amount of customer withdrawals in excess of $197.7 million since June 12th. So in less than a month, nearly $200 million taken off of the platform. I do not know how much Vold had to begin with, but obviously 200 million is a big chunk. They go into saying, you know, the cryptocurrency market was triggered by the collapse of Terraform Labs UST stablecoin, Celsius Network pausing withdrawals, and 3 Hours Capital's defaulting on their loans. We have considered that it would be in the best interest of stakeholders to take immediate action in the circumstances. We've engaged the services of a couple financial advisors here in Singapore. So it is a Singapore-based company. Our management remains fully committed to working with our financial and legal advisors and the best of our abilities to explore and analyze all possible options, including potential restructuring options that would best protect the interests of Vold stakeholders. So just more words, you know, them giving a lot more detail actually than Celsius ever did or ever has. So I was like, I kind of like thought twice when Vold was all of a sudden requiring KYC. And so I had it on my to-do list of my next video that I was going to make to let you guys know. So I actually just got approved for the KYC yesterday. So good timing. Once my KYC gets approved on Vold, within 24 hours, they pause withdrawals. And so I was actually thinking, okay, that's kind of weird. I feel like the KYC is kind of something that they're putting in place to make it just one more step to have to withdraw, right? And then they could just keep on declining your KYC. That wasn't the case for me, but you just never know what these companies are going to do. With Celsius, we saw the HODL mode being turned on. And so they actually approved it immediately, but I was having a really hard time on both browsers that I attempted to upload my documents. I had to end up actually using the app on my phone to submit my documents, but it was actually approved rather quickly. But now it doesn't matter. You know, when are we going to be able to take off our funds? I hate to say it, you guys, but this is going to be years. This is going to be so drug out. Any chance of ever getting your money back from a situation like this, unfortunately, is just going to take an extended period of time. And so what I could see happening with Celsius is it like being years out if they file for bankruptcy, depending on which route they take. Unfortunately, when it comes to getting our funds, it could be an extended period of time. So I say that just to give you the worst case scenario. For me, it feels like the most likely scenario, just so you can prepare, okay? So that's kind of the situation there, unfortunately. And so, yeah, the KYC was kind of a red flag in my opinion. But I do appreciate them giving more information and just being straight up and being like, listen, we are having financial challenges. And so versus a company like BlockFi, which is honestly, what's crazy with the whole BlockFi situation is them raising money at $2 to $3 billion. And that's the reason why FTX can't just straight out buy them, is because imagine all of the people that invested in BlockFi at a $2 to $3 billion evaluation, with FTX swiping them up for $25 million. That is insane. So it's the stakeholders that are holding back that deal essentially because they don't want to be burned. Pretty understandable. So another thing that I wanted to mention that could be some good news is over at Celsius. I saw this information out about Celsius liquidation price on BTC is now at $8,839. So that is massive because, they were at $1.18 $1,000 liquidation price. So bringing it all the way down to the $8,000 range is huge. That could potentially save them. So yeah, and I saw an update also from BTC Kyle here. So Celsius paid down another $50 million on their Aave loan to get down that liquidation price. So that is good. That is some positive news coming from the Celsius situation. So let's go ahead and take a look. Actually, before we look at the price of Bitcoin, okay, so I am someone that doesn't watch mainstream news. I rarely see commercials. It's a boundary I've set in my life that I encourage other people to try as well. Every person I know that's like super heavily involved in watching politics, or not every person, majority, they're just not happy and they get mad really easily. And so I have a big distance from like all the political stuff. But I came across this ad today, which is crazy. And it honestly, watching the ad is like simulation. I'm like, did I just see that? And also the craziest part is like, for me, I have like, when it comes to like genuine, like I have this meter when someone's not being genuine that is just so alarming internally for me that I can't even listen. I can't even hear people's words sometimes if I feel like they're not being genuine. And so after watching this video of Gavin Newsom, it made me nauseous. It was such an act and it's just full of like ridiculousness. You have to watch this. It's really quick, that it made me nauseous. I literally got sick watching this. Take a look. I mean, is this even real? Like, I just can't believe what I'm saying.
It's Independence Day. So let's talk about what's going on in America. Freedom, it's under attack in your state. Your Republican leaders, they're banning books, making it harder to vote, restricting speech in classrooms, even criminalizing women and doctors. I urge all of you living in Florida to join the fight, or join us in California, where we still believe in freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom to choose, freedom from hate, and the freedom to love. Don't let them take your freedom.
Paid for by Newsom for California Governor 2022.
Is that the grossest thing you've like ever seen in your life? Politicians are so slimy. Like that literally makes me nauseous watching that. We're living in a time where we have governors trying to convince people to move to their state. Like, what is actually happening? This is insane. Okay, so let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin. So we are about 9 days away from CPI numbers coming out, which is going to be really interesting and I think could drive down the price of Bitcoin even more. So I've not bought back into my position. I still think that there's going to be a massive buying opportunity. Like, I feel like there's going to be a massive buying opportunity. Like, that's more likely than being able to like fully execute on the opportunity that I think is going to come. So having multiple exchanges right now, the two exchanges that I trust most that are at the top of my list are Gemini and Kraken. So it's nice to have multiple exchanges to kind of like, one, spread your risk, and two, just hopefully get your buy orders filled. So this is a weekly chart here on Bitcoin. I mean, I think it's going to be massive the next time this green cross over the red. I haven't talked about that in a long time because we're so far away from that. Like look how many weeks it's been. But when that does happen, I think it's going to be a good sign. I think that Bitcoin could jump up to even $30,000, but it's going to still fall dramatically after that. I mean, if Bitcoin runs to $30,000 tomorrow, do I think like the bear market's over? No, absolutely not. Dead cat bounce. So And this is another thing. This is going to be a very long, dragged out bear market. It's going to feel like it lasts an eternity. Like, I think this might be the worst bear market that I've ever experienced, which it's only comparing this one and the previous one. But I do think that it's going to just be drug out long, unfortunately. So stay patient. And this is the thing, is like, everyone's like excited to like buy this pullback, but we're in the beginning of the bear market phase. And so that's great. You can buy at these levels, and let's say Bitcoin doesn't go down further, but you're going to be holding in this like break even, possibly losing position for like years. So what's the rush? So that's why I personally am not rushing in, because I don't really want to be holding a losing position for such an extended period of time. But dollar cost averaging is also not a bad idea. But understand that if you buy here, you're going to be holding in a neutral or down position for quite some time. Okay, so let's go back to the daily chart on Bitcoin. Okay, this is good. So we were able to hold this low, and I could see like a 9 coming in, and then Bitcoin jumping up a little bit, probably not making a higher high, but then maybe making a higher low, and then a little bit more room to the upside. I still think that we're going to see rejection over here. So, I mean, I would be surprised if Bitcoin could get above $24,000 with this current structuring, or just the postures that we're seeing on these charts. This right here is the 12-hour chart, which has made a lower low. So, not a ton of convincing, not a ton that's convincing me on these charts. The 4-hour chart actually doesn't look bad in comparison over here. We did make a higher high, so that's not a terrible situation. The 4-hour is actually looking decent. Let's go take a look at the 1-hour chart here. So 1-hour chart is actually looking nice. We've made a higher high. Maybe we see a pullback over here to like 19.2, 19.3, and then Bitcoin makes a higher high. But I don't anticipate a ton of price action on a holiday. But it's going to be really interesting to see how the markets open tomorrow. And as we've been seeing across the board, there's been a lot of correlation. We've been seeing some interesting 10 a.m. reversals. So that's kind of the situation there. This right here is a 30-minute chart, which actually looks decent. So these lower level timeframes on Bitcoin are looking better than the higher timeframes. 15-minute chart, a little bit of a pullback, maybe make a higher high. And let's go ahead and take a look at the 10-minute chart here, which is trending downwards. So yeah, so the 1 hour is looking good. The 30-minute was looking good. But as we zoom in a little bit further, let's take a look at the 15-minute actually. So yeah, 15-minute making a lower low. We're seeing a bit of a pullback. Going to see the same thing here on the 10-minute chart as well. And then the 5-minute chart is also trending downwards. So that's kind of what we are getting there. So, after being through one market cycle before, that's kind of my tip that I have for you. Like, okay, yeah, buying at these levels feels really good, but also understand that looking for hundreds of percentages return in a short period of time is likely not going to happen. So yeah, let me kind of give you guys an idea here of what exactly I'm talking about, because for some of you, this might be your first market cycle, and I should maybe explain the point that I'm trying to make a little bit further. Okay. So, let's see here. We saw the all-time high in November. And so what are we in? We're in July. So it has been about 8 months. Okay. So right here, December, 8 months out would have been August. Okay. So that puts us time frame wise. The time frames could absolutely be different. This market cycle can look very differently, but if we go off of past things, and then we have to also mix in the recession aspect. Obviously, Bitcoin was designed to beat inflation, but it's really not acting in that form. It's not like the hedge against inflation. It's not acting price-wise as its own asset class. And in my opinion, that is because 70% of all trading is institutional trading. Therefore, it's like they're all just kind of trading in one direction or another. So August would take us over here. So that's what I'm talking about. If you look at time frame wise, you would be buying here. Okay, this is August. You would still be bouncing around in that range in November. So you're holding for months. And then you see that huge pullback, okay, That's why I'm kind of anticipating a massive buying opportunity coming during the fall. All right. And then, I mean, you're still holding from some months down here, right? And then you see this big push upward, but then you see all this chop. Okay, this is from June to June. So a whole year, right? A whole year in that range. And then the bull run didn't start until much, much later. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to the patience and the time frame of what to expect. Before I get going, I want to mention iTrust Capital, which is a Bitcoin IRA. If you want to get started, you just need $1,000. And so Roth IRA, in my opinion, is the way to go. And that means you are putting money that's already been taxed, investing. And so let's say you buy Bitcoin now, when you are able to withdraw 59.5, you are not paying any taxes on the gains. Like, that is massive. So depending on your age, you can max it out between $6,000 and $7,000. And so you should really look into iTrust Capital as an option to be tax savvy and plan for the future and for your retirement. So that is all that I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.